Hello, hello, hello. He's up by the chair. I don't know, Tim. He's looking at the snow out there. We're getting snow. Who is that right there? That Chico? Yeah, you, buddy? Huh? Coming on. I have enough for 2 big shows, Tim. There's a lot of stuff coming out. The market right now is minus 380. And then earlier on the Fox Business Channel, I don't know if you heard it or not, but they actually said the View this morning, they're afraid that Trump's going to say martial law. They mentioned martial law. So that's kind of interesting. And is protesting right now. They got needed military help there in Greenland. Hey, where are you going? Huh? What are you doing? You go lay down. You don't need more food, okay? So I don't know how many's going to be in chat, Tim. A lot of people are at work, but I'll be on again at 6. Well, go ahead and do a lot of short. I got a lot of short videos. I'm not going to do any long ones till tonight. I'll do the 20-minute ones on the second show. So the first big news will be that came out last night and this morning. What am I doing?
Oversight Committee is the fact that we have, in good faith, negotiated with the Clintons' attorneys for 5 months. Throughout the past 5 months, they've implied to us they were trying to make a date work. In fact, the last date we had, they notified us 3 days beforehand, said that they would love to come, but they have a funeral to attend, and we have bent over backwards to try to schedule the no, I'm still talking. I'm still talking. Go ahead. Hey, get him out of here. You're not even a reporter. Get out of here. So, in criminal contempt of Congress, we believe because this subpoena was issued in a bipartisan fashion, the Democrats acted the day that the subpoenas were voted on in the subcommittee like they wanted the Clintons to come. because they at that time, if you go back, they were wanting me to subpoena the estate, which I did. We subpoenaed the estate and got all the documents, everything. That was what the victims asked. That's what the Democrats asked. I think that's what the American people wanted. We subpoenaed the state, got 100% of the documents. I have subpoenaed the Department of Justice and Pam Bondi for the documents, which they are producing. Now, we don't like the speed. We all wish to come in quicker, but we've gotten tens of thousands of pages of documents from the Department of Justice. And remember, they made a big document drop, and the Democrats cried foul because they said they didn't
demanded redactions.
Right, they wanted more redactions. So they're double and triple checking this, and the Department of Justice is complying with our lawful subpoena.
What do you think, Tim?
Complied with our lawful subpoena.
Wonder why the
Bill
Clintons
Barr,
are not
Alex
showing
Acosta
up.
Came in and were deposed because of our lawful subpoena. This same lawful subpoena was issued to the Clintons, and they defied it. And Bill Clinton's trying to play the victim card here. Only Bill Clinton could try to triangulate something that's happened, a terrible atrocity to these survivors that have had to endure who knows what from Epstein and Maxwell. So
and their associates.
So we're trying to get answers with the American people. We're serious about it. Once again, not a single Democrat showed up. You know how many depositions we've done? There's always a Democrat here. The former President of the United States, former Secretary of State, neither one of them, not a single Democrat here. So I think the questions that should be asked to the Democrats on the committee are do you still support hearing from the Clintons? Because some have asked what's Hillary got to do with anything. Well, Jeffrey Epstein claimed, and I don't know if this is true or not, because I think a lot of what Jeffrey Epstein said was just not true. But he has said that he helped set up the Clinton Foundation. There are records that would imply that Epstein helped raise money for the Clinton Foundation. And the last thing, we are going to depose Maxwell. As you know, I've subpoenaed Maxwell. We have, and her lawyers asked us to wait till the Supreme Court or the court ruled on her appeal. Then the lawyer said she was going to plead the fifth. We are going to depose Maxwell. We felt like Hillary Clinton could offer some information on Maxwell because Hillary, remember, Maxwell attended Chelsea Clinton's wedding. So, obviously,
the Cartoon Network called them. They want you to take your job back, okay?
I'm trying to answer questions. We've got a paid disruptor here. So this is, I feel like the Clintons have initiated the war room. The press yesterday was pretty fair, I think, about Bill Clinton not coming. Because again, this was a bipartisan congressional subpoena. The Democrats voted for this too. So go ahead. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, do you have any idea of timing of when this might hit the House floor, and will both of these advanced group meetings?
When will this hit the House floor? We're going to vote on it in committee Wednesday, so we're giving plenty of notice. We're having a regularly scheduled markup that committee.
Okay, who we got here? Sorry I can't pronounce your name. I don't know what I can call you. Alta? First time in chat? Just be respectful is all I'm asking. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long time, but they always said we have to trust the plan and trust the plan. We all know they're lying.
We will mark up criminal contempt of Congress charges for both Clintons for defying a legal subpoena. Once it passes the committee, then it will go to the full House floor for a vote. They have to notice it 3 days and all
Sir,
that.
are you making available?
Yes.
There is obviously criticism that this is a political. Focus your attention on trying to get the rest of the Epstein files released. The 99% documents?
We've gotten hundreds of thousands of pages of the Epstein files released, and we're still focused on getting the Epstein files released, and they're releasing the documents.
We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can work on getting the documents, and we can also work on deposing witnesses that have firsthand knowledge of the events circling and surrounding Epstein.
Why aren't you asking the Democrats why they didn't redact the file, why they wanted to redact the files?
As chairman of the committee pushing for transparency and accountability of the elites with the Epstein issue, what does the Clintons no-show say to you?
What do the Clintons not showing? Well, it's very unfortunate. I mean, this is something if you go back to that committee hearing when it was voted on in bipartisan that were agreed to subpoena. Obviously, Bill Barr, listen.
The record's public. You can take a look at them. Yes, no, the record's
I just want to note for the people that are watching this live that there's a paid disruptor here that's acting very badly. I don't know where security is, but look, there's something. Just listen. I can't answer the question.
This guy knows that there was
One more question for anybody up here.
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Willing to push in an open setting, would you be willing to do that?
I think that's something we can talk about. But you remember, Hunter Biden said that, and he never did show. So I think that the Democrats are trying to stall, hoping that something else will happen. They were wanting to turn the attention off of the Clintons, which I think is very unfortunate because a week ago, the Democrats on the Oversight Committee wanted to hear from the Clintons. They wanted to hear from everybody.
Well, that's an allegation, right? Obviously, they didn't show up today. They're only interested in this subject when it doesn't involve victims and it doesn't involve the political operatives in their party. That's the only time they're interested. When it involves the Clintons or victims, obviously, they're actually not interested, unfortunately.
So here's the real question here. Why wouldn't you want to have Bill Clinton come in and testify?
Why wouldn't you want to have Laura?
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want Hillary Clinton to come in and testify? Why wouldn't you want to hear from them? Well, the Democrats did vote, and they didn't show up today. No members showed up today. They sent their staff, but they didn't show up.
Maybe they knew that the secretary was not going to show up.
Yeah, and I would also suggest to you that in their statement, they said they indicated they would like Ghislaine Maxwell to come testify. We would too.
We would too.
And so the question I posed to them is, do you want us to go in? Because as far as I know, I'm one of the few that have actually gone into the federal penitentiaries to actually depose people. So we're willing to do that if that's what the Democrats want.
We're going to do that.
Yeah, or they want us to bring her here. So this is what people should be asking, and the Democrats don't want to be here today. They maybe they knew she wasn't going to come, but the bottom line is this:
Did you enter her
the Democrats voted for this. They didn't show. We hope that next time they'll show. We hope they'll be there and vote for contempt next Wednesday. The other question I asked them is a million documents were produced. The Democrats asked that they be redacted, didn't feel they'd been redacted enough. I asked, what kind of redactions are they looking for? And hopefully we'll get an answer on that. But we didn't get an answer today because no Democrats showed today. But these are important questions. We're trying to get this information out and have been trying to get the information out.
And we're going to leave it. It's unfortunate this disruptor was here. We'll be happy to answer questions throughout the day about this. We're serious about getting the truth to the American people. It's unfortunate the Clintons didn't show because this was a bipartisan congressional subpoena. So thank you all very much.
Thanks so.
I wonder why they didn't show. It was Trump's fault. Trump's fault. They're chicken. They're hiding stuff. They're afraid to get the truth out. Sorry, Mike. I'll replay it. Yeah. What do you think of them not showing up? What are they hiding? How come they're not showing up? You know, it's like they're going to go to jail eventually, right? Well, we hope they are. Who we got? My rock, my salvation. Wow. It's been a long time. Happy New Year. I hope everything's good. Did you see the name of Hillary breaking through the wall of? Is there a video out? Is there a video out, my rock? I'll see if I can try to find it and play it later. I normally go on my new time is 6:00, but there's so much news out. I'm gonna play a lot of short videos for a while. Take a break. There's snowing outside. I don't have nothing planned today, so try to get the news out. A lot of big videos to play. So I got Tim and Lucy. Lucy, a lot of people are at work, so Kay hopefully will be in. Okay, I'll try to find it. So that's one of the big videos, and I got some other ones here.
And with that job comes a responsibility to investigate and prosecute violations of federal crime in D.C., along with D.C. code crime. And my request in this case with the Federal Reserve was a legal request. And the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Powell, chose not to give a legal response. Instead, he chose to politicize and publicize. I did not politicize or publicize any of this. I follow the federal rules. I investigate until I have evidence. And if and when I do, then I go forward with a public statement. Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about $1 billion in cost overruns. Talk about fiscal irresponsibility. Talk about bureaucratic bloat. We're not talking about $1 million, 10 million, 100 million. We're talking about $1 billion in cost overruns in D.C. and something that is purely in my lane as the United States Attorney to investigate, as well as lying before Congress. So both of these things are issues that I looked at. And on December 19th, we started the investigation in November. On December 19th, we sent a letter, an email, and we said, we'd like to talk to people at the Federal Reserve. Give us a call. No response for 10 days. December 29th. Please give us a call. We'd like to talk to you. We'd like to speak to you. No response for 10 days. We want to meet them the first week of January. No response. So then we did what any normal prosecutor would do, and we issued legal process. I'm not saying that. He's saying that. So does the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell respond to that? No. What he does is he issues a video. He claims that he's being threatened with a criminal indictment, threatened that the independence of the Fed is under attack, which couldn't be further from the truth. Now, normally what people do is they pick up the phone, they call you, they say, yeah, let's talk about it. But if they had responded, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. And he's using this language about the independence of the Federal Reserve as some kind of ability for them to ignore any kind of legal oversight or legal scrutiny, or that would require us not to investigate potential lying before Congress. That's not how we work. No one is above the law. And If the claims are out of control or whether they're true, you know, if there are cost overruns, is it the contract? Is it the subcontractors, the contractors? Is it normal? And lying to Congress. Did he know about it? Did he know about the numbers? Did he not know about it? I do an investigation and I do it quietly until I get to the point where I can say something. But the chairman says, no, you're attacking the independence of the Federal Reserve. That's not what we're doing. We're doing our job. And I think the sad part about this is no one is above the law, nor should anyone think the right to be above the law, Sean. And I'm curious to those who claim, oh my gosh, this is a terrible thing, even in our own party. What do you suggest? Are there certain people that you cannot investigate? Are there certain people that we look the other way and throw complaints in the drawer? That's not the America that I grew up in, Sean.
Just to be clear, Judge, you gave them an opportunity to just talk to you and say, what's going on here? Why are these massive cost overruns? They didn't get back to you. That's what happened.
He didn't respond. Right. Instead, he comes out with this crazy video.
If you write me one time and I don't respond, I'm dead. So it would have been smart if they just responded and had a conversation with you.
But today I'm the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia. And with that job comes a responsibility to investigate. And
so that's another short one. So I had all my stuff done today and we're getting snow right now. So a lot of stuff coming out. I'm doing a lot of shorts for a bit. And we'll do the second show tonight at 6. We'll see how much we get done here. Or else I have to go do something. But can you believe who's above you right now? My Rock's in chat. Haven't seen him in a while. I got a photo I'm going to share before the next video. So, hey, DOJ, the 3-word NFL answers this. When are you going to be honest with the American people and explain who Bad Bunny really is, where he came from, who has been pushing his Hugo Chavez regime, Rafael Ricardo, whatever that name is, entertainment funding with millions. We deserve to know why a U.S. culture icon is being propelled on the world stage with foreign political money and influence in the background. This isn't just music, it's politics, power, and profit. So that was an important one to read. All right, let's get more intel.
I mean, this is what happens when nobody's my store and nobody is, right? So she doesn't report to Pam Bondi, or she doesn't think she reports to Pam Bondi, even though she does. Even though she does. You know, this is kind of a thing with TV people. We don't like reporting to anyone. This is why I'm so happy over here on YouTube, by the way. Little aside, I mean, if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do and share and like and make a comment, all that stuff. But it's great because I don't have to report to anyone. I love it. I can't stand middle management. And by the way, neither can Janine, okay? So she's got Pam that she's supposed to report to, and she was supposed to go through the proper channels and tell Pam, we just ran with it, and she went forward and did it, and she did it heedless of the backlash. Big article in Bloomberg last night saying how she didn't seek any sign-off from her bosses at the Justice Department before subpoenaing the head of the Federal Reserve, and has no plans to back down right now from an investigation. Powell. She's alleging that he lied in his testimony before Congress when he was being asked about those renovations that the Federal Reserve was doing on its historic buildings. Now, I don't think that Jerome would deliberately lie. I'm not here to sing his praises necessarily. I think he's been kind of a bad Fed secretary and has just been off on everything. I mean, my gosh, that guy kept printing like there was no tomorrow. It's like he was really trying to do Biden a favor, I think. I don't know. But or Janet Yellen a favor. I mean, he just wouldn't stop printing, and it was so obvious. I was like pounding this table. No, you can't print anymore. Oh my gosh, look at what Chuck and Nancy just did to the tune of trillions. And Biden's handed out a third stimulus check. Jerome, Jerry, come on. But he may have believed that that was the right thing to do. So he's just dumb, okay? In terms of the construction of the historic Fed, it's not like he was profiting off it himself. Jeanine Pirro was kind of looking for a headline, and I think Jeanine Pirro, being a TV person, she doesn't want to report to anyone. And Pam kind of doesn't really have anything going on, right? Pam can't get anything done, and so she's ineffective. So Jeanine Pirro is just like, boom, I'm going to go right straight to it. Well, Scott Bessent isn't happy, okay? So the adult in the room, and I say that as someone who likes Pirro a lot, but she doesn't really understand financial markets. And Bessent's looking at this and he's like, whoa, holy moly. I mean, for goodness sakes, now we're going after the head of the Federal Reserve. Don't you think that's a little bit much? After all, the reason people keep buying our debt, and we want them to keep buying our debt, is because the U.S. is regarded as the pristine, if you would, brand. So we're the place that you want to be, because when you know what hits the fan, you want to be invested in U.S. dollars and U.S. treasuries, right? And if you think that the U.S. is a banana republic because they're out there, hey, I don't know, suing the head of the Federal Reserve, it's kind of funny, then you may not want to invest in the U.S. So Bessent gets this. And so he picked up the phone last night and was like, I was really upset with Trump. And then you know who else gets it? Oh, Jamie Dimon gets it, right? He runs the biggest financial institution in the world. He gets it. And I think Donald Trump absolutely gets it. This is a bit of a headline. It's a bit of a distraction. It's a bit of a F you to Powell on his way out. I don't think it'll go anywhere. I don't think it'll see the light of day. But he had something interesting to say just moments ago in Detroit, Michigan. Let's listen.
And I've also announced that the U.S. government is purchasing $200 billion of mortgage bonds to bring down mortgage rates, and it's had a huge impact. It's already started. And just last week, the average 30-year mortgage dropped below 6% for the first time in many years. It's coming down very rapidly, and that's not with the help of the Fed. If I had the help of the Fed, it would be easier. But that jerk will be gone soon.
Oh, boy.
Whoa! Okay, tell us how you really feel. Wow. That jerk will be gone soon. That was a little bit angry sounding. I know that he's Powell. Listen, Powell hasn't done him any favors. Realistically speaking, I mean, there's every reason in the world right now to lower rates. You know how many inflation? Look at it. It's 2.7%, and core inflation came in today at 2.6%. So we got no real massive inflation. Everybody thought it was going to be a couple tenths of a point higher. That didn't happen. So inflation's coming down. You got GDP growth that maybe the Fed is looking at it and saying, well, look, GDP growth is great. Why do we need to cut rates? But here's the wacky thing, right? People have really high car loans and they have really high mortgage rates. And when you have that kind of, very high interest rate charge, you're basically locking up liquidity because people can't go out and buy a new car and they can't even move, right? Maybe there's a great job in another part of the country, but they can't take the job because they can't sell their house because they can't get what they paid for it out. And so it creates a stagnancy in the economy. And that's what he's trying to fight against.
Okay, that's the first one. I got a second one. That's 10 minutes. And then I'm going to do the first hour of the shorts. And then Billie Dean just came out, Angie, in 47 minutes. So she has a big one today. Lucky I came on because I wouldn't be able to get all the intel out for later.
Announces sanctuary cities and states will lose funds on February 1st. Oh my goodness, that's just a few days away, right? I mean, that's coming up fast. Cashing out. What a good headline. President Trump said Tuesday he is preparing to halt federal funding to sanctuary cities and states on February 1st, potentially yanking billions of dollars in revenue in response to barring cooperation and immigration agents. So you haven't cooperated. You're actually not allowing immigration agents in. You're not assisting them when they need the help. And he's like, okay, then we're cutting you off. You're not getting any more money. But I have a question for you guys, because I'm sitting there looking at this headline and I actually had to do a double take because I thought we actually had already done this. In fact, I kind of thought that we had ended all of the sanctuary city funding and maybe it was trapped up in some legal issues. And I'm reading the Bloomberg article and I'm reading the New York Post and it's like it's fresh as of today. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, I'm not losing my mind here, right? No, I'm not, because back in February of 2025, she said she cut off all the sanctuary cities from their funding. She was pausing the money back then. Here's the New York Post, February 5th, 2025. Newly inaugurated Attorney General Pam Bondi ordered the defunding of jurisdictions that refused to cooperate with federal immigration authorities on Wednesday, potentially cutting off a significant money source for New York. She issued this edict shortly after being sworn in. Wait a second. If she's issuing the edict back in February, like, why didn't it happen? Why are we just finding out today that Donald Trump is doing that? I mean, I'm pretty sure we can go back to the press conference where I'm almost positive she said that she was going after Kathy Hochul and Letitia James and even the DMV. Remember?
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the moms in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today.
Well, apparently it didn't stop. And it didn't stop in February of 2025, because now Donald Trump is saying it's going to stop. And you know what else he's saying? I think I got a lemon. I got a real lemon in Pam Bondi. Turns out she can't do the job. Ooh. And we've been saying that here for weeks, have we not? I think we've been saying that since we're going all the way back to September. I mean, maybe October. Maybe I gave her a little bit of rope. I'm a pretty generous person. And I like to believe that people are doing the right thing and they're quite capable, but I have seen nothing but catastrophe after catastrophe after catastrophe. And by the way, I'm not the only one, because Susie, who's the so-called ice queen, right, over there in the White House, that is the president's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, she was the one who said, boy, Pam, Epstein files, did she ever? So now the news story, and you can see this one in the Donald Trump souring on Bondi. Well, wouldn't you? I mean, under the circumstances, wouldn't you? If you put your head of the DOJ in charge of doing a lot of things that you thought she was going to get done, and then it turns out, she forgot to turn in her homework on time and missed the limitations on James Comey, I'd be mad too. I mean, I am mad, and it's not involving me. I'm just commenting from the sidelines, and I'm like, I can't believe this. The incompetency is off the charts. She can't do the job. I'm sorry. You know what? She's pretty on television. She does a good job on Hannity. Let her do that. Let her be a PR person, okay? She's a politician, so she kisses up to him, and maybe she's loyal. Maybe she's not. I don't know. All I know is the proof's in the pudding. This woman can't get the job done. She can't. I mean, nothing's happened. Don't take my word for it. Comer feels the same way. Everybody feels this right now.
At the end of the day, I've been disappointed in some of the criminal referrals that are collecting dust on Attorney General Bondi's desk. I've made that very clear with the White House. I'm hopeful that we'll see some action soon on, the criminal referrals that range everywhere from Dr. Fauci to the Biden family influence peddling scheme. So we've got that. But now with respect to Minnesota, I'm very confident the Department of Justice is going to make several more requests. They've already made several arrests, dozens of arrests down there, and they're working on dozens of prosecutions. But that's the tip of the iceberg, and the Department of Justice knows it. Homeland Security obviously is down there. You've got the Department of Ag looking at some of these food programs. So I think everyone in the Trump administration, HUD, all the different agencies are serious about apprehending these fraudsters.
Okay, they're serious about going after the fraudsters. By the way, that's why they don't allow Pam to actually be the one who's going to control all this, right? I mean, you had JD Vance say the other day, we got somebody new, a new position, reporting directly to the president. She was totally bypassed. And the word on the street is that he's looking to do that in many different capacities. In other words, she can't run the show. That's what she's supposed to do. And she can't do the job. Let's continue listening.
So you're confident there will be arrests and criminal charges brought in Minnesota in 2026?
Absolutely.
Back to the Justice Department. Has the Justice Department done enough?
Well, I would like to see more. I'm an optimistic person. I believe that they're working very hard. And I know the president has a lot of confidence in Pam Bondi.
Not really.
So hopefully they will be more successful in prosecuting some of these people that we've provided congressional evidence that have broken the law.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of the comments on X. This is a very popular chart on X. It says zero arrests for some scandals that are very important to Republicans. Is that what accountability looks like?
That's the biggest complaint of every Republican on the House Oversight Committee is there haven't been enough arrests. Now, some of these, some of those issues.
Exactly. Okay. There haven't been enough arrests. By the way, I'm making a comment right now in the live comments. Don't forget to turn on your alerts. So if you're subscribed to the channel, make sure you also hit the bell so that you turn on the alerts so that you know when I'm live. It's really, really important. One of these days, we actually will find a very firm time. 3 and well, today was a little bit later, right? Almost 6 o'clock. So we tend to aim for that window. So always check your alerts, and that way you know when I'm here. It's really, really important. But I'm like, gosh, I mean, she hasn't done anything. And so now he started to complain, and he has every right to complain. Look, I don't want to complain about Pam. I like Pam. She's a nice person. I've been on TV with her many times, and she's come on my show over the years at Fox, and we've been on Newsmax together. Like, I really don't want to complain about her, but I'm actually really concerned about the country, and I'm concerned about the president. I'm concerned that we're not getting our homework in on time, okay? So Trump has complained about Pam Bondi repeatedly to aides. That is the headline, the big exclusive in the Wall Street Journal today. And it says this month, Donald Trump has talked to allies about how he could appoint special counsels at the Justice Department because he's so frustrated with what he sees as slow progress, according to people familiar with the situation. This does not surprise me at all. This is exactly what they did with Minnesota and all the fraud. Now they're putting somebody that doesn't have to report to Pam in charge of the entire operation for all of the fraud. Granted, it's a little bit too big for her. But, there's a lot that's too big for her. I think the Epstein stuff is too big for her. I think the Biden crime family stuff is too big for her. I think the Russia stuff is too big for her. I mean, it's all too big for a politician from Florida who's good on television. Because you know what you need? Not a politician, not somebody that's good on television. You need somebody who knows how to run a big, giant shop of litigators, okay? Somebody from, I don't know, Jones Day, which is a popular firm in conservative circles. Go get the head of Jones Day who knows how to run a whole team of litigators, because you need litigators all over the country. Your U.S. attorney here, there, and everywhere doing their jobs. And then you have to, as attorney general, kind of pick and choose which are the most important cases here and kind of keep an eye on them, right? Babysit them a little bit. Manage them. You've got to be a good manager. I don't think she is. I think that she knows how to be on TV and she knows how to campaign. And that's called being a politician. That's called being good on TV. And none of them have anything to do. And maybe she's a good lawyer, sure. But again, you can be a great lawyer and you may not be able to manage an entire team of lawyers. And so he needs what I'm calling like a CEO type position. Now he's doing it. This is why he's getting a new prosecutor to go after all the fraud. And maybe Bessent will help manage that prosecutor as well, but you can't have Pam do it. Pam can't get her homework in on time. She can't manage to meet the statute of limitations on Comey.
Is we are creating a new assistant attorney general position who will have nationwide jurisdiction over the issue of fraud.
No, because Pam can't do the job. All right. So look, he's done with her. At this point, I think he likes her. He likes her personally, but this is business, okay? This is just business. And we need people who can get.
Well, that's the second one on Trisha there. So I got something I'm going to read here. I will share screen, but I got to read the. Okay, this is oil. First 4. So that's at 2:30, I guess, today. Today's the 14th. On that. So we praying for that there. Okay, we got a short clip.
A full-scale U.S. occupation moves to stabilize the region. The occupation triggers a narco liquidation, targeting Colombia's 90% worldwide cocaine monopoly, designating cartels as terrorists to seize the $100 billion industry, ending domestic addiction at the source while using trillions in cartel assets to fund a total reconstruction of American healthcare. Following this purge, the U.S. blocks the passage through the Darien Gap, the jungle crossing used by millions of 2,000 miles south, and ending the migration crisis. Simultaneously, the green gold monopoly integrates Colombia's emerald and coffee exports into the domestic market, slashing premium prices by 40% and turning the U.S. into the global hub for the luxury gem trade. Finally, the Panama Canal Shield locks in this dominance, controlling both sides of the canal's entrance to block rivals like China and transform the Caribbean and Northern Pacific into a private American lake.
That was good. We haven't heard in a while.
Amnesty, indefinite amnesty from Somalians. That should do the trick, right?
I mean, all I have to say is thank goodness Donald Trump won the White House back and Tim Walz is nowhere near our federal budget. If he can do this much damage in one state, imagine what he would be doing if he was in the vice president's office. Not only did he not win that race, but now he's having to withdraw from re-election as governor because the amount of fraud and the disaster that he has created in his state. I'm thankful we have a president that's fighting back, rooting out this corruption and holding these individuals accountable and putting a stop to it. It is unbelievable to think what has happened, not just in Minnesota, but what we're also starting to see being uncovered in the state of California. Gavin Newsom's California spent $18 billion on a non-existent train. That means they spent $18 billion just to think about a train. Our entire state budget is $6 billion, meaning they lost more thinking about something than we spend in 3 years on our entire state. It is unreal what's happening, and I'm glad we have a president that's standing up and making sure that there's an end to it.
And the president's saying something big is going to be going down in Minnesota tomorrow. Are you thinking it's an indictment? What are you feeling here?
You know, with President Trump big, that usually means it's gigantic to the rest of us.
Oh,
so I will be watching like everybody else, but I'm just glad that he's not letting them get away with it and that he's going to hold them accountable and take serious action, which is what it sounds like he'll be doing tomorrow.
Yeah, Nick Shirley is also on the case. He's got a big expose he's going to be breaking on this show tomorrow. You know, it's just a bunch of made up scams. Everyone's getting soaked. And he has the proof. Isn't it funny that an independent journalist like that, just scrappy guy knocking on doors, can blow this thing wide open while the legacy media just whiffed?
Thank goodness he did. And I'm glad that you'll give him some coverage tomorrow and highlight even more of what he's uncovered. And I think he's done a fantastic job going around and exposing the fraud and the waste and the disaster that has taken place in that state.
All right. Sarah Sanders, great to see you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Latest on Sarah. Okay, what we got? We got this lady, court lady here. Ah! Oh, I'm almost lost again. Pushing the wrong buttons again.
Removed from her docket more than a year ago.
It's a story the 7 investigators first broke in September of 2024. 7 investigator Heather Catallo is here with what she has learned.
This has been a long process. You'll recall we revealed recordings of Judge Kathleen Ryan making some shocking statements. Judge Ryan has essentially been on paid leave for 15 months and once described herself in those recordings as untouchable. The Judicial Tenure Commission has been investigating this for more than a year, but they did not take action against her. Her lawyers confirming to me late today that she is retiring, and the vacancy for her position has already been posted by the governor's office for potential candidates to apply for an appointment to the bench.
I can honestly say that, okay, I'm not systemically racist, I'm a new racist.
The 7 investigators were the first to reveal the recordings that Oakland County officials say prompted Judge Kathleen Ryan's removal from her docket in August of 2024.
Black. I'm so off at this Black Lives Matter, hashtag Me Too, all this. Oh my God, I'm like, you.
On Wednesday, a judicial vacancy was posted on the State Bar website saying the former Oakland County Chief Probate Pro Tem Judge was vacating her position on the bench.
Kathleen A. Ryan presiding. Good morning. You may be seated.
Ryan was a probate judge for 13 years until the Oakland County Probate Court administrator filed a complaint against her, alleging Ryan had been harassing him, calling him after hours for years, and making racist and other inappropriate comments.
I've never met anybody that enjoys hurting people and brags about it the way she does, or intimidating people, scaring people.
Hutton says his complaint was not acted on for months, so he then sent the recordings of his calls with Judge Ryan to state and county officials.
I just want to make it right. And I want the people in Oakland County that come to court to get a fair shake, to have their day in court, to have an unbiased trier of facts.
If you're black from any other country, you're doing way better. If you're an American black person, then you're a lazy piece of.
Judge Ryan has been paid for the last 15 taxpayers have been footing the bill for visiting judges to handle her docket. Now her lawyers say she is retiring and leaving the bench. Judicial Tenure Commission investigations are not public unless they reach the point of the JTC filing formal charges. Again, that did not happen in this case, so the results of that will not be made public. Now, meanwhile, I did speak with one of Judge Ryan's colleagues, Judge Daniel A. O'Brien. He said Judge Ryan was a good judge, and he expressed frustration that the court was left with visiting judges for so long while the JTC investigated, saying that really left a lot of cases not having continuity. So at least there's some resolution. She's retiring.
At least, and I'm sure.
Okay, that's one going to retire. One more short clip, and I'm going to do the last one, Billy Bean, because it's 47 minutes, you guys. So I don't have to do it tonight. Let's see which one. Oh. Not that one. Let's do Derek.
Straight out the gate. This is how you know. Here comes your facts, ladies and gentlemen. Fact check this. 3 national emergencies. President Trump issued 3. Why did he need to issue 3? Why didn't Congress address the first one? Why didn't Congress address the second one? 3 national emergencies. By federal law, national emergencies must be addressed by Congress. But if they don't, guess who gets to terminate them? Title 50, Chapter 34. Go look it up. Title 50, Chapter 34. Guess who gets to terminate the national emergency? The president. Who issued those national emergencies? Donald Trump. Who gets to terminate those national emergencies? Donald Trump. Executive Order 13848. How in the hellfire and brimstone did Donald John Trump know to write a national emergency in an election fraud committee in an executive order in 2018? 2 years before COVID and 2 years before the election. How did President Trump know to write in Executive Order 13848? How did he know to write a national emergency and an election fraud committee 2 years before the actual presidential election, which in that actual order specifically says it has a 45 day in it, meaning 45 days after the election, this committee will report here. 45 days after that, this committee will do this. How did he know to write an executive order, means immediate law, because Congress didn't do their job, so he had to write an executive order? How did President Trump know to declare a national emergency and election fraud committee in one order 2 years before COVID and 2 years before the election? How? How, trolls? Where you at now, trolls? Where are you? I hear crickets on my end. Where are you at? How did he know? You wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known in 2018. You didn't know about COVID. You didn't know about a fraudulent. How did he know? Go freaking read it. Let me pull it up for you. Up. Right here. Imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in a United States election. September the 12th, 2018. Donald. On down. Because he called me a liar the first week I went viral. Oh, Derek Johnson, it don't say this in this executive order. You're a liar. He didn't even at me. He didn't even tag me. So I added him and I pissed off all his base, because this ain't about bases. This ain't about anything but God and the military. I said, well, guess what, Mr. So-and-so, if you mess with the bull, you get the horns. And you mess with the bull this time, because right over here, guess what it says? It says it right here, Section 8. The term, where did it go? Where you at? The term United States election means any election for federal office held the date of this order. Says it right there. It also says United States jurisdiction, which is maritime law. So going back to the internet statement earlier, let's bring in the gold fringe flag. The gold fringe flag means captured. It's an admiralty court. Deleted that. They don't want you to know about that. It's a military thing. Admiralty courts. It means captured. United States has been captured by the federal corporation. Admiralty courts. Admiral. What is admiral? It's the highest rank in the Navy, right? Okay. What is the Navy? Water. What's the law of water? Maritime law. President Trump.
That's another good one from DJ. So I'm going to end it with Billy Bean, the 47-minute one. And I'll be back at 6. This is a long one. Clara, I came on. I had time to do 2 shows. I did a lot of short clips for the first hour. And then this one I'm going to do Billy. She just came out. I don't want to do it tonight. So get started here.
Now taxes is an open.
Welcome to Truth by Billy Bean. Today's date, January 14, time in Texas, about 11. Some of the things we'll cover today. The astronauts on the ISS were brain hit. That's why they're coming home. Epstein, the Clintons are a no-show. And President Trump deals with the deep state Fed, Greenland, which we need for our security, and other top items. And we have the U.S. military preps for a strike on Iran, and Cuba and Mexico, Greenland. I mean, gear up, baby. So we have this.
I don't know if you heard what I just said, though. I did got my run around done and it's snowing out, but it stopped. But quiet day today, and a lot of stuff coming out. This is a big one today, Kay. 47. So I don't have to do it tonight at 6. This will be the last one till tonight. Hope you're okay.
What's going on? Now, a few days ago, we heard about the ISS, the International Space Station. We heard about 4 U.S. astronauts returning to Earth. That'll happen today about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What we're now learning is the medical emergency was the ISS was hit by some type of space, could have been meteor, could have been microwaves. We still have that intelligently controlled object Atlas out in space, against which the U.S. military and SpaceX are putting up a solid line of defense around Earth to block the radio signals. Can it be that this Atlas projected some type of weapon against the ISS? That's unknown. But what from geophysicist Stephen Burns is that a few days ago, and that would correlate to when we began hearing that one of the astronauts was injured or had a medical emergency, that the ISS was hit, causing brain concussion-like effects on the astronauts. Now, I put out in my video, I believed that very soon we would see the ISS shut down. We know the 4 U.S. astronauts are returning to Earth today. That leaves 1 American and 2 Russians on the ISS. I believe we'll see very soon that those astronauts will also return to Earth and ISS will be put on autopilot. Why? Because there is something going on in space. And today, according to NASA, we can have, this is from the 2 CMEs that came off the far side of the sun. Now today, we have the sun turning to face the Earth with large sunspots, which could generate additional geomagnetic energy. I submit the combo of the solar activity in the next few days, plus an unknown impact from an intelligently controlled object, Atlas, on the International Space Station, could then produce additional negative impacts upon the remaining astronauts. So we'll have to see, and it's good to be in prayer.
Let's cover 10 pro tips for working with the Cursor agent. So I've got Cursor open and my agent on the right. And the first tip.
And we have this. So yesterday and the day before, President Clinton was to appear at a congressional hearing regarding the Epstein files. And yesterday, I believe it was HRC, they both were no-shows. So today, the House is going to vote on recommending to the DOJ to indict the Clintons. Of course, the House must have a majority vote. So today, none of the Democrats showed up. What's going on with that? And we have this. So Prometheus Update is giving additional information. Now we know, we can see as the American people, we have multiple cards on our table. We saw Trump going to Venezuela, and we know, we understand Cuba is also on the chopping block, as is Mexico. Now, all of these areas present money that goes to some segments of Russia, China, and also Iran. These would be black type accounts. So President Trump is in the position now of playing multiple cards, or some would say moving pieces on the chessboard. So first had to come a takedown of oil and cartel. Now we know inside Iran, some segments of Russia, China, and Iran had military assets there for Venezuela to use against the U.S. military. The same is true in the cartels in Mexico, mostly Chinese equipment and troops. So that's going on. And we have also inside the U.S., we know we have sleeper cells, primarily Iranian, but also Chinese and some segments of Russia. That's going on. So President Trump has had a big plan. First, to cut the oil and money that goes to some segments of Russia, China, and Iran. And I have additional information. Recall, and the U.S. military in the Caribbean continues to take control of tankers in the Caribbean. Recall that tanker we saw operating called the Bella. That was right after the U.S. hit Venezuela and took Maduro, called the Bella, that had been flagged out of Guyana. But then as it pulled away from, changed its name to the Marinera and changed its Russia. Then we saw the going from the Caribbean to the North Atlantic. And we were hearing from the mainstream media. Now, you can get from the mainstream media a tiny bit of truth embedded in a lot of untruth, that Russia was sending, they were sending 2 ships and 1 sub to take control of the Marinera. The mainstream media put forth this was a Russian vessel. Nothing could have been further from the truth. This is what actually happened. Is the Marinera Bella, also renamed Marinera, had no oil on it. That was obvious from the position it was in on the ocean. It was sitting high. no oil. We come to find out that what it had on it was 2 nuclear devices that the deep state, so it had 2 nukes, and they were made of isotopes that came from Russia. This was a deep state.
I want to stop that for a minute. I'm going to listen. We should listen to this, everybody.
Muhammad Amalu inimi atatimi figisatinni атаққиқатигиинеқ ааллаавигалу оқалиқатигиинери илалланнеқарсимамата массаккуллу сиуму саммисимик оқалиқатигиинери кингерлаққиннссаанут аққутиник уярлеқатигииниссатсиннут исимақатигиисималлута. I think that our meeting today and our commitment to find the right path is something that gives us to be able to see forward. And by saying that, I also committed on what Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen already said. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And then I think we can take a few questions. Tom from BBC. Yes.
Okay. A little update on that.
Operation. Recall last year, we had up and down the U.S. East Coast nuke sniffers, and we saw over New Jersey many drones. Now, it was put forth that apparently they were looking for nukes, but no one knew, what was the source. The source was these 2 nuclear devices with isotopes from Russia that the deep state had put or taken or stolen somewhere. But the U.S. intel community knew that the target was the U.S. East Coast. So now new intel came out that this tanker near Venezuela, and obviously we can see the deep state plan would have been to allow the U.S. military to take control of the Bella and then take it to the U.S. and have it blow up. But we saw what happened was the U.S. military, Coast Guard said to Bella, stop and let us board. And the Bella continued to be shadowed by the U.S. Coast Guard while additional U.S. military assets could be flown out to the Bella to take charge of it. Russia cooperated with the U.S. and sent those 2 ships and submarine not to take the Bella, but to hold the Bella until the U.S. military could take control of the tanker and the 2 nuclear devices. So we see Russia working with the U.S. to prevent a nuclear catastrophe. So when you hear bits of truth embedded in much a container of lies on mainstream media, it's good that you can go to independent sources who also hear from God. So that's going on. Yeah, baby. We came very close to a nuclear false flag in the U.S. Blame it on Russia then for the U.S. to go to war with Russia. Nothing could be further from the interest of America in having a full-on war with Russia. But the deep state is intent on destroying America and Russia. So we have this, that the Promethean update, the U.S. military has a risk plan, and that is being done through President Trump's ending 80 years of the deep state control of money. That includes the Federal Reserve. So we see President Trump cutting oil and money from Venezuela and other locations that would go to China, some segments of Russia, and Iran, a deep state group. And he has cut it from Venezuela. Now, this money cut is also impacting the deep state. So we have in the U.S., we have the Federal Reserve that is not a part of the U.S. government, and yet, so Congress sends money to the Reserve, which is not a part of the U.S. government. It is a deep state controlled monster, the economy of the U.S. The Fed has to be also taken down. Now, how does this Fed operate? We know in the UK and London, there's an area called the City of London. This is the deep state control, global financial control center by the deep state. Even the Queen, to go into this area of London, had to take her shoes off. Permission. It is not a part of London nor the UK. It is a deep state controlled global financial center. And that same group, City of London, for example, when we pay money to the IRS that's located in Puerto Rico, we, the American
32 more minutes,
citizens,
guys. 32.
that money goes here to the City of London. It comes back to the Federal Reserve in the form of a loan to America with interest. I submit this. The so-called U.S. debt is entirely fake. So that's going on. So President Trump's big plan, hit Venezuela, take down the money from oil and the cartels. And we're seeing also the U.S. military and other nations standing up now to stop shipments of drugs, cocaine, fentanyl, heroin, plus going on. And it is the U.S. led and a multinational effort to destroy the state. So the Fed needs to be taken down. And we have this. Yeah, President Trump is working with other nations to destroy an enemy of the U.S. is certain parts of both the UK and Canada. We have enemies in Canada who are part of the deep state. And the deep state certainly has players inside the U.S. So the U.S., the people of America need to take down the Federal Reserve and all the central banks in the U.S. who are not a part of the U.S. government, nor a part of the U.S. banking system, but are wholly operated by foreign.
There's a Harbor Freight store in your neighborhood. And the thing about neighborhoods, they're not made of places.
Institutions operated by the deep state. So that's going on. We'll see a big change, I believe, in our banking system in the next 12 months. So we have this, President Trump is to ban. He's also trying to help young Americans be able to afford houses. I know I was having a recent conversation with my family, and it's phenomenal how the value of houses has risen in the past 20 years, not based on actual increase in value, but President Trump now is banning foreign Blackstone, Vanguard from buying up single homes in the U.S. to drive up the price, and is ordering a mandatory buyback from these foreign companies, a buyback from them, forcing them to sell the single family homes they own now, and increasing what's going on with Fannie Mae and Freddie to bring down the pricing of single family homes so young Americans can also participate in the American dream. Way to go, President Trump. And we have this regarding the military industrial complex in the U.S. Lockheed and other companies that are supposed to manufacture military equipment for the U.S. military. We've long known for decades, and we heard as early as the 1950s, a warning message from President Eisenhower that the U.S. military industrial complex posed a clear and present danger to America. Now, these companies are supposed to be producing U.S. military weapons, but what they do is suck at the trough of greed. They receive billions of dollars from the U.S. Congress. Then they use that money to buy their own stocks, run up the value of their stocks, to put their greedy gain in their own pocket. And we can see, we have heard for years, the U.S. military industrial complex.
I tried.
Oh, we can't produce this. We're over budget. We need more money. It's going to take years to get that produced. The American people are awake and are going very soon to demand that Congress cut this BS out. Why? Because right now, the U.S. faces threats from multiple nations militarily. We need to have a pro-America manufacturing base to make U.S. military weapons, ammo, and so on. So President Trump is not afraid to stomp the chest of the U.S. military complex, which has turned to evil instead of benefiting America, and does pose a threat to our military security. So way to go, President Trump.
Let everybody know that I came on, I went out, got things done, and it's snowing, and everything okay for today. And there was just a lot of news to get out, and we had big news on Clinton and everything, and this one is 47 minutes, so that's why I want to get this done, so I don't have to do it tonight. And I did a good DJ earlier too. So I did a couple church videos, was good. So there's a lot of stuff coming out. We're going to finish this under a half hour left. and come back at 6. And we have a new name in chat. And then My Rock is in the chat. We haven't seen in a long time. So that's the update.
And we have this. So today there's going to be a meeting. So we have the U.S., we have Greenland. Now, we've been hearing President Trump say from the time he was elected that the U.S. needs Greenland for our strategic security. He is absolutely correct. And these propagandists who are saying, no, there's no Russian and Chinese ships around Greenland, we can now say, shut up.
Shut up.
And today in the White House is going to be a meeting with Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Rubio, President Trump's envoy Witkoff. And this is going to be with the foreign ministers of both Greenland and Denmark. President Trump, I got this suggestion. If Denmark will not sell Greenland, which we know without a shadow of a doubt now that new information has come out, Denmark knows that Greenland is vital for the security not only of America, but also of Europe. If they will not sell, then take it tomorrow by force, because America does need Greenland. We need to be able to control Greenland militarily for the safety and security of American families. And we have, so they're meeting today. We don't know what time. Now, with regard to the U.S. economy, Dr. William Mount brings this out. He says the Fed is part of the U.S. Treasury. Well, maybe that's true on paper, but we see that President Trump cannot fire the leader of the Fed, Jerome Powell. So that would tend to suggest that the Fed is not a part of the U.S. government. And we have this. President Trump has also said to credit card companies, you must stop these high interest rates you are charging American citizens. And for the coming year, 12 months, you can only charge 10% interest, not the illegal amounts of 20 to 30%. We see credit card companies also being greedy bastards.
22 minutes.
And we know bastard from Deuteronomy means someone not of God. So we see the credit card companies in America operating against American citizens. So President Trump, make that happen. And we have this, that the, and this is my.
Brian Eagle, yeah, I was just telling everybody, this is a big Billy video today, 47. The first hour I did a lot of shorts because there's so much more to share tonight at 6. And the big news is the Clintons, how they're not showing up, and next week could be a big week for their arrest. So,
question. If the Fed is not a part of the U.S. government, why does Congress vote to send money to the Fed that we, as I've been demonstrating, is not a part of the U.S. government, but is a deep state controlled monster, manipulating the U.S. economy. President Trump shut the Fed down. And while you're shutting down the Fed, also shut down the UN that's located in New York, and take America out of all these deep state controlled globalist organizations, the UN, NATO, the World Bank, and so on. So we have this. So now President Trump has directed the DOJ to bring an indictment against the leader of the Fed, Jerome Powell, because he went to a congressional hearing because the Fed received money from Congress, even though it's not part of the U.S. government, to renovate its building. And President Trump had information that it was running billions over, or there was a question about where did billions of dollars go. So now President Trump has directed the DOJ to indict Jerome Powell. So we see President Trump taking steps to take down the Fed, a monster feeding off the U.S. Economy and the American people. So that's going on. And we have this. So President Trump, today's Greenland, Denmark meeting at the White House. President Trump is so far not said to be attending that meeting, but rather Vance, Rubio, and Witkoff. And we have this. President Trump is also prepping for other moves. This will be against Cuba and Mexico, and definitely Iran. I have a whole segment on Iran. So we have this, that the U.S. preps definitely for a military conflict with Iran. And President Trump has succeeded in cutting oil and cartel money to China, Iran, Cuba, Mexico, and so on. And so this is just coming out. So all those naysayers who say, oh, there are not Russian and Chinese ships around Greenland. Really? Well, this comes from Stickwell's aggregate site, the source Just In News. Just last month, the Denmark Intel Service, Danish Defense Intel Service, released their Intel Risk Assessment report for Denmark, and this would include Greenland, and they released it last month. And Intel Outlook for 2025, which was just released this January. I guess that would have been in December. And what did the Danish Intel Service report?
17 minutes.
They reported that the Chinese military objective is to take Greenland by force and present definitely a risk for Europe and Denmark. So to those naysayers, there are no Chinese and Russian ships out there around Greenland that pose a threat to America. Shut up. The Denmark Intel Service put their report out and said, yes, a military objective of China is to take Greenland militarily by force. So hopefully the government of Denmark has a little bit of common sense and will take the money the U.S. says it will pay for Greenland. And I say this to President Trump today in this meeting: if you can't reach an agreement for the U.S. to buy Greenland from Denmark, tell Denmark to take a hike and put the U.S. military on Greenland tomorrow to take it by force. We cannot allow Chinese bombs to be hitting the U.S. from Greenland. So that's going on. And we have this from the BBC. Now we'll start talking about what is a clear and present danger to the U.S. and to Israel. So we have Israel. We have Iran. Iran has a border with Turkmenistan and also Afghanistan. All right, what's going on there? And many people believe that we have tens of thousands, if not millions, of individuals inside Iran who are Christians and who are being slaughtered by their own government. So we have this from BBC. Iran begins January 14 today. They had 5-minute trials yesterday for hundreds, if not thousands, of protesters that the military of Iran had arrested. 5-minute trials. Sentenced them to death, and they are to begin hanging hundreds, if not thousands, of protesters today or tomorrow. We have this from CBS that from a Iranian female activist, Maish Alanid, who reported inside Iran there are up to 12,000 dead. Now, just this morning, on European sources, it's being put forth, official count, 2,500 protesters killed by the Iranian military. However, other European sources with contacts inside Iran are saying it's at least 12,000 plus. So that's going on. And we're hearing that many of the IRGC, so yesterday flying out of Iran to Turkey, were many leaders of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
Save $28 or more when you join Planet Fitness for $1 down, $15 a month.
So they're leaving. Where is the Ayatollah? The Ayatollah, it's believed, is right here on the eastern border of Iran with Afghanistan in an underground bunker that leaves the lower level government leaders, the mullahs, the lower level Iranian military in charge. And they are using machine guns to take down and kill hundreds, if not thousands, of protesters right now, while they build gallows to hang many. So that's going on. And we have this, that from CBS. Yeah, Iran is to begin hanging protesters today. It's believed at least 12,000 are dead. They had Commie Dem Chuck Schumer say, why is the U.S. military going to be in Iran? Shut up, Chuck Schumer. You are communist to your core. You could care less if innocent Christians and innocent people inside Iran are killed, most likely because it doesn't put any more money in your pocket. And now we have this. Chuck Schumer. Well, We need to use the
I don't
War
know, Faye.
Power
It's getting
Act
wild.
to control the executive branch. That would be President Trump, whose constitutional role also includes commander-in-chief. Now, Chuck Schumer could care less if Iran is murdering its own population, or if Iran has sleeper cells and wants to activate to kill American citizens. If it isn't putting money in his pocket, he could care less. And Chuck Schumer, President Trump, we need to have term limits, because definitely Chuck Schumer would be out. So that's going on. And the Dems also try to withhold money from the DHS for additional ICE employees. We see the communist Dems openly displaying their greedy communist intent by trying to delay or take down the ability of the U.S. government to protect American citizens. The commie Dems also have to go. We have this from Hal Turner's intel that came from inside the U.S. intel, that the Pentagon has a plan to strike Iran, and President Trump is very serious about this. Now, that was yesterday. Today, we're supposed to begin seeing the Iranian military hang protesters in the streets. And we have this, that Iran has made a threat to hit U.S. military bases that are inside the Middle East. That would be in Syria, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. I think we have some in Iraq, in Jordan. So the Iranian military is, once they get on their position to strike militarily, they're going to hit Israel. They're going to also hit, they threaten, U.S. military bases. Now we understand that the U.S. military is evacuating U.S. military out of Middle East bases. Apparently, the U.S. military takes the threat by Iran to hit our bases seriously. So that's going on. And we have this, that the U.S. Last night, about this intel came out last night about 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The U.S. has surged refuelers, that's the KC-135, and the U.S. military puts the refuelers in the air, and their objective is to refuel fighter jets. So these so before you have a military engagement, you send out your refuelers. And they went from Hawaii over to Diego Garcia, where the U.S. has a base. Diego Garcia is near India, and then also Afghanistan and Iran. So from Hawaii to Diego Garcia. They sent the refuelers. And then yesterday, about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, President Trump went into an emergency meeting regarding Iran. And present was Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of War Hegseth, CIA Director Ratcliffe, DNI Tulsi Gabbard. We have the Joint Chiefs, General Kane, and Vice President Vance. So that was an emergency meeting last night about 6 o'clock. About 10 o'clock then, we saw the refuelers being moved from Hawaii to Diego Garcia. So we had last night also about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have that the U.S. military was sending out along the coast of Iran. So the U.S. military was sending out MQ drones. These are large drones. Some of them are almost the size of small planes. And they do strategic surveillance and signals intel to take, excuse me, an active battle map of Iran and to put together real-time strike packages. Now, this happened last night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Emergency meeting began about 6 p.m. The U.S. strike authorization has been given and being staged. So that's going on. And the U.S., President Trump, has suspended all talks with Iran. We have sources inside Iran.
5 minutes.
The death count for the protesters is 12 to 14,000. And 5-minute trials were held yesterday with hundreds, maybe thousands, to be hanged today or tomorrow. The Iranian people prep for a standoff. So before these protests began about 17 or 18 days ago, the Iranian people had been in the planning stage for a revolution. It's my position. I believe the Iranian people have reached a similar to what happened in America during our Revolutionary War. Give us liberty or give us death. So before this current revolution began, about 17 or 18 days ago, the Iranian people had made plans and they took down cameras the Iranian government had on the streets. They had also secured guns. We don't know what kind, but the Iranian people have also been shooting dead Iranian military and police who were firing on them. So that's going on. But the Iranian military and police have machine guns. So they're able to take out many more of the protesters. So that's going on. And we have this. The IRGC yesterday and the day before began flying out of Iran to Turkey. The Ayatollah Khamenei is in his hidey hole, an underground bunker located along the eastern border of Iran with Afghanistan. So that's going on. And the U.S. military began yesterday evacuating people, its troops, out of its Middle East bases in the Middle East. Now, it's probable that Iran, now that it's bereft of the leadership of the Ayatollah, I mean, they're not on the ground with the Iranian military, nor are the IRGC individuals. So it would be unknown what level of military is in control now of the Iranian military. So it would also be unknown what type of response they could put up to America, but it's good to be in prayer. And here's a short prayer based on Isaiah 17. On that day, all who fear God will look to him with eyes of respect, understanding only God can deliver from the evil facing the people of America, Iran, and Israel. We pray, Father, for the U.S. military to be strengthened, guided, and increase their perseverance. And we in America understand that we stand as an instrument of God's reckoning against the evil in the world. And we thank you, God the Father, God the Son, Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, and God the Holy Spirit. I say to my family and friends, remain steady out there, continue to pray. God is in charge and he is on the move. I love you and I'll see you soon.
Okay. I don't know. I wasn't going to do the long ones today, but that was Billy Bean, only when Billy has a long one. So we won't do the, most, do the 20-minute ones there. But we still got 15 minutes. I got a lot of short clips I want to play for the last 10 minutes here. Get 2 hours in. Shoot. See what I got more here. Oh, great. What happened? Oh, why this? Oh, the settings are messing up. I'll get it. I'm buffering.
Huge trigger warning.
2 minutes.
It is bad. Bad, bad, bad. The worst, most depraved imaginable. The kind of bad that doesn't just make your skin crawl, but makes you want to rip your skin off and climb into bleach after you know the horrific details. I can't even say what's in those files because social media will ban me. There is hours of testimony by a man named Sasha Riley. He is one of the survivors, and he explains in graphic detail what he endured and witnessed at the hands of the rich elite. And I use that term very loosely because these people are not elite. They are subhuman. And suddenly, these senseless wars make so much more sense. Same with the frozen water Gestapo raids. This regime has to do up to distract from even worse things. The division, the fear, the chaos. None of it is by accident. It's a calculated pattern to keep us distracted,
this lady got
divided, and desperate
telegram.
while they operate in the shadows. Sasha Riley doesn't just name names. He talks about the horrific things that both little girls and little boys had to endure. I will post.
Okay, that was it on that one. Sorry about that one, you guys. I'm saying reload. And I gotta reload.
Child care. I worked
Read
in
that.
a behavior treatment and reduction autism center. They had to close one of our branches today and laid off all employees because this administration is awful. Awful. And if you support it, I seriously hope that you reap.
These short ones, I thought they were good, but they're not. I'll get to my one lady here. They playing music again. Why are they doing this? That's weird. Oh. Finally got one.
That we as Democrats should not, cannot vote for more money for this unaccountable Department of Homeland Security that is terrorizing people across the country. Not the worst of the worst, U.S. citizens, residents, people who have been here for 20 years without ever committing a crime.
Okay, before we go any further, U.S. citizens being deported? I want to see the proof. Notice they never give any names. These are just baseless lies that add fuel to the fire. This is the problem with the left. Okay, let's carry on.
We need not only to defund ICE until it can be reformed, but we need Kristi Noem out of that seat, out of that leadership role, because she has fundamentally undermined all trust in DHS.
We have to, in Congress, leverage every tool available to hold this administration, to hold ICE accountable. We are in an appropriations process right now. We should not be funding this terror.
Here we go with defund the police again. Connecticut Democrat Senator Chris Murphy, he's also putting forward a bill that puts strict limits on ICE arrests. We're talking about banning agents from wearing masks and keeping Border Patrol at the border, which seems to make sense, except for the fact it's a complete waste of time, resources, and money because nobody's crossing the border these days. The calls are now coming from inside the House. It's these reforms that Democrats plan to use as leverage when negotiating funding the government. And what's happening to ICE as we speak? Well, today, their vehicles, again, were swarmed by an angry mob of agitators, which quickly becomes a threat when you're outnumbered. So what do agents do? They had no choice. They had to deploy tear gas to disperse the crowd. Appears to be just another day at the office for these agents. As for the liberals, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do a welfare check and see how they're holding up through all of this, because it is tough work trying to defend illegal criminals.
All right, MAGA. You can have it. You can have the whole damn thing, the whole damn country. You and friggin' Trump, the whole administration can go to hell. I've had enough of you guys. My wife and I are selling our place, and we're moving. We're going to friggin' move to Mexico, man. My wife is in the house right now, bawling her friggin' eyes out because of you guys. What the hell's the matter with you? Where's your humanity?
You notice how he's saying he's leaving because MAGA's mean? No policy disputes, no economic arguments, just vibes and tears, along with a dramatic exit announcement on the internet. And now we're seeing some stunning irony out of the left. These same folks who scream open borders have literally built their own border to stop law enforcement. In a Minneapolis residential neighborhood, activists blocked the road to prevent ICE from entering, a human barricade to keep federal agents out. So it's okay to enforce borders as long as it's only lives and their livelihood all in the name.
Yeah, let's see if I get 1 and 2 done. I'm gonna see. All right, see you, Kay. See you tonight. I don't know why they're playing videos on that. Okay, I'm gonna end it. Shoot, 4 minutes I got. I guess that's enough. We'll call it for now, you guys, and have a good few hours, and get back another show in tonight at 6. Have a good afternoon, and thanks to all the old names coming back today. And back at 6. God bless. Love all. Remember, please hit the like. Okay, Lucy. Kim. Stay strong. Keep the faith. Never give up. Signing off, Chico and Dude. Another showdown till this evening. At least we got Billy Bean out of the way. That was big. That was 47. Oh, I was wondering why you said that, Kay. Yep. Like what Trump said, Kay, right? If you don't like it, move out. Yep. So, earlier I heard on Fox Business, they actually said the View this morning says they're afraid that Trump might do martial law. That's the first time I heard that. So they're scared. We'll see you guys at 6.